All right, welcome. My name is Will Moss. I am the CEO of HBCU Connect. A lot of you guys are probably already familiar with HBCU Connect and the events that we do with some of our partners. This evening's event or this afternoon's event, depending on where you're from or what time zone, is going to be with Visa and opportunities for young Black professionals. So if you're a current college student or a recent grad, you'll be able to learn about opportunities with Visa. And I know sometimes we have some folks that may be a little bit outside of that career range. And if you want to engage and learn more about Visa as well, you are welcome. So first thing I like to do is get started with a video presentation from the Visa team. So let's go ahead and get started.
What is this? No, not the game. That. You probably think Visa is a credit card company, huh? But get this. That name you see on everything is actually more like a signature. Visa is a network. It helps people move money from here to there and helps get this shopkeeper online so they can sell these jeans from the side of that mountain. It's the wizardry behind the scenes, connecting just about everyone to just about everyone else. It can open eyes with a cup of coffee and change minds about what makes a business a business. And it is working to connect everyone, everywhere. Everywhere you need to be, everywhere you dream of being, everywhere you fight to be. It's a key to anyone you want to be. Visa works to open doors all over the world, so more of us can play a part in this commerce day. So, meet Visa, a network working for everyone.
There it is, folks.
What is this?
That was our intro to our event. So welcome. The first thing I like to do when we get started with these events is set the stage for you all to be able to interact and meet with Visa. But let me go over the event agenda. So we've started out with our opening video. I'm going to give you a quick welcome, quick 3 to 5 minute on HBCU Connect, a little bit about my background. Like I said, I will be your moderator for this event. Then after that, welcome, and I set the stage for you all to definitely take advantage of this event. I will be introducing you to the Visa team, the folks that have volunteered their time out to share their experiences. And then, after I introduce each person so that you have an idea of who they are, what they do at Visa, and a little bit of context around, what they do in their path to Visa so that you can kind of relate, and then you can actually ask some questions as we get into our live Q&A and as we go into the breakout sessions. So now, real quick, welcome to the event. If you want to jump on and shout out your HBCU or your college that you attend, or if you want to drop and network by dropping your LinkedIn profile, feel free to do that in the chat. And for our Visa folks, if you'd like to interact with the candidates while the event is happening, feel free to interact with the candidates in the chat, because in lieu of us doing this in person and doing this virtually, we want to make it as interactive as possible. So like I said, after I introduce each Visa team member, you guys have an idea about who each person is and a little bit of context. Then we will go into a panel discussion where I have a few questions queued up that I hope will bring out information about working at Visa and the experiences of our panelists, especially from a Black perspective. So I'll ask a few of the questions that I have queued up for our team members at Visa, and then I'll invite you to utilize the chat to ask questions as well for our panelists. And so I'll start to grab some of your questions from the chat that I see, and I will ask those questions to our Visa panelists, all right? So after we have about 25 to 30 minutes of our live panel discussion and Q&A, then we will start with the opportunity for you guys to interactively network through our breakout sessions. I'll go over some of the technicalities utilizing Zoom, but essentially you will be able to jump into a technical conversation or a technical breakout room with a couple of our tech panelists that have a tech background, or you'll be able to jump into the non-technical breakout session to interact with some of the panelists that have maybe careers at Visa that are not technical. So you'll be able to jump in, ask questions, introduce yourself, interact and engage, and make the most out of this opportunity and this event. All right, so after the breakout sessions, you'll have roughly 25 minutes in the breakout sessions. And then once we come back, you'll get like a 60-second countdown so you can ask those last minute questions or answer those last questions. And then everyone will jump back into the main room where we are right now. And then I'll hand it over to Brittany Screws at Visa to talk about next steps and also to introduce herself and the role that she plays on the Visa team. And then once Brittany finishes up talking about next steps, then we will close out the event. All right, so that's our agenda for the evening and this afternoon. Super excited. So the first thing I want to do is introduce myself, give you guys a little bit of background on who I am. Most of you are probably already familiar with HBCU Connect, so welcome. And those of you that are not familiar with HBCU Connect, that maybe are engaging for the first time for this event with Visa, welcome. And let me give you a little bit of background first on HBCU Connect. We've been around since 1999. This is a passion project for me. We've been working with companies all over the country to help HBCU students and HBCU graduates find career opportunities with some great companies out there. So originally, like I said, it was a passion project, social network to allow our members to not only connect with each other, but to connect with all types of opportunities, whether they're scholarships, internships, or careers after graduation. We are here for you to create these opportunities. About 8 years ago, we started to host physical events for recruitment all over the country. We had events in Texas, we've had events in California, the Midwest, the South in Atlanta, and the DC, Maryland, Virginia area, all the way up to New York. We've been hosting events all over the country for some of our partners. But fast forward to 2020 and COVID-19, we decided, of course, to hit the pause button on our physical events and host these events virtually and still help people get familiar with opportunities that are out there and still land internship and job opportunities. So kudos to Visa for launching this partnership with HBCU Connect to allow you all to have these great opportunities for internships and jobs after graduation. So like I said, kudos to the Visa team. The opportunity here for you this evening is to learn more about Visa and then also engage, ask questions, take notes. Once you get into those breakout sessions, don't be afraid to introduce yourself. Don't be afraid to ask questions that maybe you might not have the opportunity to ask in an interview, but we're pre-interview stage right now. So you can ask some really good questions in those breakout sessions and really take advantage of this opportunity for you. And the hope is after this event that some of you land interviews and some of you get hired. So you'll want to make sure to pay attention when we talk about next steps and as we jump into this event. All right, so that's my quick overview and welcome. So now let me introduce our team at Visa. So our first panelist is Lillian Scott, Vice President, Global Internal Audit. So Lillian, if you're ready.
Hello, everyone. I hope you all are doing well. It's a pleasure to meet you in this virtual space. I bring you greetings from North Carolina Agricultural and Technical State University. So if there are any Aggies out there, Aggie pride to you. I graduated from North Carolina A&T spring '99. I bleed pink and green, marketing major. And my first role leaving A&T was to work for Accenture in Atlanta, Georgia. And so as part of that role with Accenture, I traveled quite often. And while I was flying, I ended up meeting my husband on a plane. So if you don't want to get married, don't talk to strangers on the plane. So ended up doing a career change after getting married to work for 17 years in financial services at a company called TSYS. TSYS is when you swipe that credit card within less than a millisecond, it is on us at TSYS to make the determination, do you have the funds in your account in order to process transactions? So if you're declining, more than likely it was coming through the rails of Visa to get to TSYS to make that determination on your ability to pay for that transaction. So I spent a lot of time in process improvement across the organization and went into internal audit about 8 years ago. and then fell in love with it, and then made the transition to Visa 7 months ago. So glad to be here auditing people, processes, and technology to secure your credit card.
Excellent. Thank you, Lillian. Let me ask you a quick follow-up question about your background, noticing that you went to the illustrious North Carolina A&T University. So quick question, I like to ask this to my HBCU grads. Do you feel your HBCU experience prepared you for what you do today at Visa?
It did. It prepared me. It gave me a level of confidence. I had many friends that attended Chapel Hill, UNC Chapel Hill, and other very large universities. But for me, there was a certain level of distraction when you go to such a large university and when you're on your own, when you have a sense of family and you have professors and deans that take a personal interest and pour into you and encourage you and inspire you and uplift you. You create a certain level of confidence to walk into any office, into any boardroom, and you own it. And so I am forever thankful for that HBCU experience.
Yes, ma'am. Excellent. Okay, so I'm going to ask you to hang on as one of our panelists as I introduce the other panelists from Visa on the team. And so with that, let me go ahead and introduce our next panelist, who is Bruce Kalin. So Bruce is a lead cybersecurity analyst at Visa. Bruce, if you're ready.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? I am Bruce Kalin, and the best way to talk about my college experience is I'm born and raised in the South Bronx. The first school I went to was Talladega College in Alabama. I spent 2 years there, pledged Phi Beta Sigma, and met a young lady there. She transferred to Tennessee State University, and I followed her. No, I didn't finish Tennessee State either, but guess what? I got married to that woman, and her and I have been married for 43 years. I eventually finished my first bachelor's in chemistry at Kentucky Wesleyan College, entered the Air Force, got commissioned as a second lieutenant, and then was sent immediately for 2 years at Auburn University, where I finished my second bachelor's in electrical engineering. So that meant the first job I had coming out of all my education was in the Air Force, where I did microwave communications testing and evaluation. From there, I bounced around a lot. I've got mileage on me, ran a telephone network, did bids for the federal government. Eventually, I ended up in Philadelphia, where I built the cybersecurity function for a little company called Comcast. Spent 10 years there, left there, came to Visa back in 2012 as a lead cybersecurity analyst in the governance, risk, and compliance area. And I have loved it ever since. This has been one of the greatest challenges I've had. And even though I've got gray hair, I still love coming to work every day. And how does my job affect what Visa does? On the average, Visa handles $10 trillion in global payments every year. We have to keep that secure. We get that broken, we get that hacked. There's a lot of hurting puppies all over the world. So yes, this job is very, very important. I am a member of an 800-person staff, and we all work together to make sure that Visa's transactions stay secure. So when you pull that Visa card out and make that purchase, it's going to go through. It's going to go through quickly, and it's going to go through securely.
Excellent. So I know I'm gonna have some of these questions for the panel, but I like to, while I have you here and we're talking about your experience, I see some things about your background that I want to have a couple of follow-up questions. So in your background, I noticed you worked at Sprint, KPMG, Comcast before coming to Visa. What is it that you like, or what's different about Visa that makes you like Visa as compared to some other places that you may have worked?
Well, for one thing, Visa is not as high pressured and overbearing as some of the other places I've worked. It's on the West, I'm on the West Coast in Foster City, and it got that West Coast attitude, which has done a lot for this East Coast guy who grew up in an environment where you run pretty much everywhere you go. Nobody in New York moves slowly. But it has been peaceful. Management works with you. People treat you like a human being. We're all family here for the most part, and I have just enjoyed this at the tail end of my career.
Excellent, excellent. So I know you'll have some stories to share and some experience to share with our young professionals that are on the event.
Oh, do I have some stories?
So to our candidates, if you have questions so far for Lillian or for Bruce, drop those questions in the chat as we introduce our other panelists so that you can engage and ask maybe some specific questions that you might have for Lillian, what she does, and for Bruce and what he does in cybersecurity. So thank you, Bruce, for introducing yourself, and hang on for our panel discussion. Thanks, Bruce. Okay, let me introduce our next panelist, who is Natalie DeLille, Business Associate, New Grad Development Program. So Natalie, if you are ready.
Yes, thanks, Will. Hi, everyone. My name is Natalie DeLille, and I'm a part of Visa's NGDP program. I will talk to you a bit more about that later on. I graduated from the Howard University from the School of Business, and my background is in marketing. And so I don't have to say much about Howard. If you are currently a student there, you already know. I joined Visa right after college, so I've been here for 2 years now, and I have a very unique experience because I've been on 4 teams since joining Visa. I started off my career in a marketing role where I worked on experiential marketing for our travel clients, so just ultimately trying to figure out ways to make their card top of wallet for consumers. And then I joined the risk organization. I got to work on some really cool research projects during the height of the pandemic. So just like picking out trends that would be evolving like as a result of of COVID. And then for my third rotation, I joined the Visa Foundation, which operates as its own 501c3. So that was also a very unique experience in itself. And then I'm currently on the Global Strategic Initiatives team. And so we work on really just priority projects for the company. My role specifically focuses on responsible AI. So are our products fair and unbiased? And also articulating how Visa is using data to just promote our business. And so I think my role is extremely important because, with AI, there's all these new technologies involving, we want to be sure that our products and services and our clients are it's fair for everyone. And so, yeah.
Let me ask a follow-up question. So sorry for my joke about the other HU because I went to Hampton. But how did you find out about Visa? Like, I know we have a lot of candidates that are currently enrolled in school, or maybe they're getting ready to graduate, or maybe they recently graduated. How did you find out about Visa and, in the program that you're part of today?
So I actually had 2 friends who was a part of the program, and they really just spoke to like how amazing of an opportunity it was. I think besides just the brand, this program is very unique. What stood out to me was the opportunity to go international for rotation. So we have an office in Singapore, one in Dubai, one in London. And so one of your rotations can be abroad. And that really excited me about the program. And I think ultimately that was like the deciding factor, being able to rotate through companies and also having that international experience.
And then where are you from originally?
I'm from Brooklyn, New York. I'm currently based in DC.
Okay, so we got a couple of New York folks representing on our panel. So Natalie, thank you. I'm sure your experience, especially in the new grad development program, will be interesting to our candidates. So to our candidates, if you got some specific questions for Natalie, drop those questions in the chat, but then you'll also have the ability to ask questions in the breakout sessions a little bit later in the event, all right? So Natalie, thank you. If you wanna hang on for our panel discussion, I have one more person to introduce on our panel. So thanks, Natalie. All right, so our next presenter from Visa is Robert Shafamba, who is the Director, Digital and Developer Platform. Robert, if you're ready.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, so my name is Robert Shafamba. I went to university in Zimbabwe. That's Southern Africa somewhere. And my path into Visa was via, I moved from Zimbabwe to South Africa and started working for kind of a startup there, and that got acquired by Visa. And that was my path into Visa. And then within there, I did a couple of things related to financial inclusion. So financial inclusion is a key thing that motivates me, that drives me to do all these things. And really, financial inclusion, if you're not too familiar, look it up, is making sure that all these payment capabilities, all these e-commerce capabilities are available to everyone, irrespective of your means or station in life, right? We all need the ability to make payments, to receive payments electronically, quickly and fast and safely. So that was my path into Visa. And then while I was working for Visa in South Africa, I got the opportunity to transfer to the US. And I had a choice between Foster City, where Bruce is, and another location in Denver, and Austin, Texas. So I elected Austin, Texas, because there's Formula One racing here, and I also love Formula One racing. So I came to Austin, where I worked in a team called Visa Checkout. And you'll notice when you're shopping, if you see a button that says Visa Checkout, or you see a button that says Visa Safe Click or Click to Pay, you use any of those services. My engineering team in the background is doing all the risk analysis about your transaction that you're about to complete, whether or not to allow you to log in, whether or not the cards you're using belong to you, and whether the device you're using is a good device or it's a dodgy device. We make all those decisions in a few milliseconds and respond to the user. So we're very much in the background. And that was my role until literally end of tomorrow. That was my role. And from next week, I will be doing something different, which is more technology. Again, it's related to containers. Those of you in technology will be familiar with containers, things like Kubernetes, those kind of things. That's the new team that I'll be joining. They're leading that team, and I'm very excited to participate in that work.
So I noticed that you've been at the company for at least 13 years now. What
long time.
What has kept you there at Visa? Because I know a lot of us that have a tech background, there's lots of opportunities, right? So I'm always curious as to the story behind, what it is you like about Visa that's kept you there at the company.
Yeah. So actually, even though the profile there kind of shows a few roles, I've had almost different roles almost every 2 years. So it doesn't get boring, right? And like I just explained right now, in the last 3 years, I was doing the fraud and risk management development team. And now I'm changing to something else. So that was my longest stint in one role. Previously, I was doing performance management, so making sure that everything is fast and scalable and doesn't crash, when we have Cyber Monday or Black Friday and those kind of things. So I've kind of kept up to date with my interests and passion within Visa. I've had the chance to move around globally within Visa, and I can share that experience, right? I've moved from different continents to work there, so it's always kept me interested, excited about the next great thing that you can do. And it's always been one step onto the next. So yeah, lots of great things to be done here at Visa, and it's exciting.
One more follow-up question for you, considering your background and as a director, a lot of our candidates that especially that have a technical background, they want to know what it's like to interview for a career at Visa and some things that they should prepare, for an interview. So I'm not sure, I imagine as a director, you have participated in interviewing new candidates for careers. Any words of advice or maybe talk a little bit about what the interview experience is like coming into Visa?
Yeah. Do a little bit of research. Know the team, a little bit something about the team that you're joining. Have confidence when you're talking in the interview process. Be authentic. If you don't know something, admit you don't know something. That's always better than trying to, wiggle your way through. They'll figure it out. Normally, you're talking with other panelists that have been in that particular season in that particular field for a long time. They've seen a lot of things, and they know the common misconceptions that people come up with. So be authentic, really. If you do your research and your homework on the technology they're asking you about, normally it's there in the requirements. You can come across pretty strong. But yeah, just be authentic.
Excellent. So thank you, Robert, for a little bit of background on yourself and your experiences. To our other panelists, you can go ahead and turn on your video, and we will get ready to start our fireside chat. But let me go ahead and, while you guys get situated and turn on your video, to our candidates, what we're getting ready to do now is our panel discussion or fireside chat. And what I like to do here is keep it a little bit informal. So to our panelists, I'll ask some questions that I'm sure you guys can, chime in on and add value to the conversation. And to our candidates and to, the students and grads out there, feel free to drop questions in the chat as we get going, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull some of your questions from the chat and ask to our panelists. So let me turn off my slides so we can focus in on everyone's video, and I'm going to spotlight our panelists. So we've got Natalie, we've got Lillian on the spotlight, and we've got myself on the spotlight. And to our candidates, there's no need to turn on your video just yet. You can turn off your video and then turn your video on when we go into the breakout sessions so that we can focus on the video from our panelists. All right, so this first question is a little off script, but I think it's relevant. And I like to ask sort of a current events type of question and get a little bit of insight on what it's like to work at Visa considering the current events. So, Visa is, a payment processing company, super integral worldwide to our everyday lives. Last year, we had COVID-19, and it changed the way a lot of companies do business. It changed the way a lot of teams work together, whether people are working from home or going into the office. So for this first question, I'm actually going to default to Lillian, because it looks like you recently were onboarded into Visa during the pandemic. So I'd love to know what that was like. And then from the other panelists, are folks working from home right now? Are you transitioning back into the office? And maybe some challenges you may have had to solve for customers. So Lillian, if you want to kind of talk about the onboarding during COVID-19.
Well, let me first talk about the interview process. So I did interview, I interviewed for a vice president position. So I had 9 interviews over a 3-month period. So that process for VP was different. But one of the, what was important for me in the interview process, I never met my bosses. Of course, everything was virtual. It was important for my background to be the new suit. So from an interview perspective, I made sure that the background that was behind me was conversational and that it represented who I was as a person. That was the first thing. From an interview process as well, from a psychology perspective, what I did to get through each of those interviews was I embraced this concept called mirroring. And what mirroring is that if the person that I was interviewed was uptight, I was uptight. If they were social, I became social. So leaning into understanding the structure and understanding the behavior of the person that's interviewing you, if you're able to mirror them, they are more comfortable being in their element of either structure or social. So that's some advice that I would give candidates if you're interviewing virtually. So I got through the process, and from an onboarding perspective, the only way that I make connections is through video. And I noticed that once you join a company and you start interacting, there are a lot of people who choose to go offline and off video. And so I would encourage you to always be presentation ready. Even if it is from the hip up, just always be presentation ready. I do makeup almost every day. I don't get caught slipping, AKAs don't slip. So I always stay presentation ready from a video perspective.
Excellent, excellent. I think for our candidates, I think that's some great words of wisdom, because you all are going to have the opportunity to turn on your video in the breakout sessions and present yourselves. So prepare for that after our panel discussion. So Lillian, thank you for that insight. So is everyone else on our panel working from home currently? Looks.
Yeah, I think, a huge percentage of visa folk are working from home right about now. A few are in office, but the pandemic is still raging in a lot of parts. So, we're taking the employee safety first approach. So a lot of people are working from home, and it's been a huge transition for a lot of teams to go into the remote working mode, but we've kind of managed to do that now for 19 months. I think we've been like this, and it's been working. It's been tough in terms of the interpersonal relationships. That part has been difficult. I think we've had several hundred employees join during the pandemic. They've never met physically their teammates. And I actually had an employee that joined during the pandemic. We upskilled her, uptrained her, and she managed to transfer to another team as well and is working there. And it's all been virtual. So
Excellent. So let me default this next question to Natalie. Being the most recent to graduate from college, what do you think was the key to having a successful transition from college to career?
Yes, I think there is definitely a few things, right? I'd say the most important one would be like to go into the workforce with an open mind, right? As far as like opportunities, moving to a new city, meeting new people, like you really have to put yourself out there and take risk. I think that's really what allowed me to see like much success at Visa. Another thing would be discipline. Having a 9-to-5 and a college schedule is like completely different. There are no breaks in the day. Like there is no time to go and take a nap or do any of that. Like you are, like people are relying on you to be available and to be present. And so like just be sure that, like you are showing up in a disciplined manner. And I think another thing is imposter syndrome, right? That is a huge thing that new grads face, because like you're entering a workforce and everyone is super smart and very talented. And at Visa, I was probably always the youngest person on the team. And so sometimes you may feel like an imposter, right? But just remember that you wouldn't have gotten the role and you wouldn't be where you are if you weren't qualified. So yeah, it's like those are kind of like, if I was to bucket up, it's like three things, like those would be the three.
Excellent, excellent. So let me ask this next question. I'll default it to Bruce and Robert. But if anyone else wants to chime in on this, with diverse perspectives, I think it will be appreciated and add value. But the question is, since last summer, there's a national reckoning to fight social injustices. Many firms, including Visa, made commitments and took action. What did that mean to you as a Black employee? So Bruce, if you want to start out, and then anyone else can chime in.
that was probably one of the most significant things I have seen in my career. And I've been in technology for 38 years. I've always, or in many cases, have been the only one in the room or one of a few. And it, as much as I try to socialize and be with the people and hang out as much as I could, I was always that person on the side. To have Visa step up and say, yes, we recognize your pain. We recognize that we haven't done all we can to include you, and to go and make the serious effort to do so gave me hope for now and for the future. As a side note, one of the things we did in cybersecurity is we formed a group called Visa Black Cybersecurity Professionals. 800 people, there's 25 Black people in the organization. Visa the CISO not only was happy to see it, he supported it. His whole management team supported it. There are places where I've been in the past that would have smiled and said, yes, that's good. And then we all would have been given our walking papers within a few months. Visa has stepped up and said, yes, this is good. We support you. And how can we help? So I've been extremely pleased with this.
Yeah,
Robert?
and I can echo Bruce's comments there. I mean, historically, and you'll see from the marketing perspective, Visa has always been really under the radar in terms of marketing position, in terms of its brand, everything. It's always been neutral, right? Not wanting to be on any side of it strongly. And you'll see that two things have started to change. One, the brand is coming out more vigorously. And also our social justice positions are becoming much clearer and being more pronounced. And I think some of the things that happened over the summer is certainly a big step in terms of what Visa has traditionally done in terms of supporting these kind of activities. And it's been a step. And I remember communicating with the CEO, right? So I was just a lowly employee. I could send emails to Al Kelly, who's our CEO, and he would respond within minutes on these Black topics. And I would tell him, hey, I think the thing that Visa is doing with the college students, and I'll give my honest feedback, and he would give his honest feedbacks and talk about why Visa could not do more, or was doing exactly what it was doing. So I think Visa, to me, and that's part of the reason why I'm still hanging around, because I get it. I understand what we're trying to do, and honestly, there can always be more that can be done. And I think it's a learning process. We're digging in, and like Bruce said, we need more people in the organization to feed and to share all these experiences, because if you don't have those people, they don't know what they're missing, right? And the value we bring into the organization is all this diversity, all this skill, all this knowledge, all this shine, right? And we need to bring more of that in, and we need to educate them on the good things that they're getting as we bring even more candidates in. So that's been it for me.
Roughly how large is Visa from a number of employees perspective?
20,000 plus, about
20,
I think, yeah.
So roughly 20,000
20.
plus, and you were able to directly engage with the CEO of the company on
Oh yeah, I mean, you can do that, right? See, the thing is, when you have an organization like that, people are afraid sometimes that my message will just sink in and it'll disappear. But the CEO that we have, he's authentic, right? He says stuff and he does stuff. And so when you communicate with him, he'll reply to you. If he doesn't reply to you instantly, normally there's something going on, or he's in the middle of some big meeting or whatever. But he always, in my experience, he's always come back to me and shared honest feedback. So I think for me, that's it's pretty critical.
I think that speaks volumes. So excellent insight. So let me ask this next question to Lillian and or Natalie, if you'd like to chime in as well. What advice would you like to give your younger self back when you began your first corporate job or career?
Oh, wow. How much time do I have for that? My mother and father birthed 8 girls. And I'm number 6 of 8 girls born to my mother and father. My father was a Baptist minister. And so when you grow up as a preacher's daughter, it's a strict environment. So I was ready to go to A&T and had my own clothing selection picked out and ideas of what I was going to do, having left this very strict environment. And before I left, in a station wagon, with my sisters driving me, my dad gave me some advice, and he said, Lillian, you are the salt of the earth. Don't let your salt lose its ability to season and touch people's lives. That North Carolina A&T should be better the day that you left than the day before that you start. And so what he was saying in that was to be intentional and to make a difference. And wherever you go, operate in a spirit of excellence. If you're going to go hard or go home. And to always let your benchmark be that excellence. And so I really encourage all of you that as you are starting out your career, be intentional, to be curious, to allow your gifts to make room for you, to tap into your passion, and to be patient. Getting to this VP level was a very hard journey. I had to shatter ceilings. I had to make compromises as a mother, as a wife, and there is a cost to being a vice president. And you have to, as you climb your career and be patient, just know that everything comes with a cost. So try to be patient and to understand that as you tackle different things in life and career journey, to understand what it takes to get to the next level. And I see a lot of young people who get anxious and they want to get promoted within 6 months of being in a role, and you need to be able to master your craft at your level. I would rather have been promoted having deserved it than to be promoted prematurely and fail. So allow yourself to learn, be humble, be hungry, but be intellectually smart to be able to learn and to take feedback from others. So if someone is able to give you feedback that hurts your feelings, allow them to break you down to build you back up.
Excellent insight. And Natalie, having, been a college recruit coming straight out of Howard, what advice would you give candidates, now that you've been in the job for a while, and if you had to look back and you were talking to yourself to prepare you for what you're doing now, what advice would you give?
So I agree with everything Lillian said, but if I was to add one thing, I would say do not be afraid to pursue your passions in corporate. It's very intimidating when everyone's, studying engineering and information systems. But, I just knew I wasn't interested. And at Visa, there's so much to do. Since I've been there, I've been able, like I said, to be socially impactful. And I think that a lot of times we do get intimidated, to take on some, as you call it, non-technical roles. But there is a lot of value in those experiences. So I think using my internships to help me understand what I liked and what I didn't like really helped me when I was making a decision on what I wanted to do full time. So I guess the piece of advice there is to take some time to learn yourself and don't be afraid to try different types of internships in college so that you can really pinpoint what you are looking for in a full-time role, which explains why I am in a rotational program now, still going through different roles to see what I really enjoy doing. So I would just say, don't be afraid to pursue your passions. Yeah.
Excellent. So let me
just
go Go ahead,
Sorry.
Robert, I'm sorry.
Yeah, just to add on to that, I was speaking to my intern just this week actually about the same thing, is that don't be afraid to use the time that you're an intern in those formative years to gain all the experiences. Don't be afraid to travel even, right? You get to an organization like Visa that, that has so many locations and stuff like that. Use that to your advantage. You can relocate within Visa. You can, I tried that myself and it worked out pretty well. So, don't be afraid, learn as much as you can, experience as much as you can, because that sets you up for your best future.
Excellent advice. So now what I want to do with the second half of our fireside chat and panel discussion with the Visa team is I want to open it up to our candidates to drop questions in the chat. And I'm going to do my best to grab some of those questions and present those questions to our team of panelists. So the first question that I see that I wanted to ask that I thought was a really good question is from Makia Carter. And that question is, are there structured mentorship programs at Visa? And is there typically a clear career path for growth and advancement? So I'll ask one of our panelists to volunteer to speak on mentorship at Visa.
Yes, yes, yes. There are so many structured mentorship programs. As an NGDP, you get paired with a senior leader immediately, like as soon as you join the program. And different teams at Visa also have mentorship programs. We actually have mentorship programs with HBCUs. And so right now we are partnered with Delaware State University, and students are being matched with Visa employees. And so hopefully, you'll see this program at one of your schools soon, but there are just so many different opportunities to be mentored. We also have programs that allow you to be on different teams, right, for some time. And so you can also experience mentorship through that. But yeah, your mentorship is everywhere at Visa. And so you'll have no issues like finding a mentor here.
Excellent. Bruce.
I second that, and I fully encourage everyone to take advantage of the mentorship program. Even if you don't get into a mentorship program, find someone who you can talk to. 40 years in technology, I never had a mentor. And I probably could have gotten a lot further if someone had reached out and said, Bruce, rather than being direct, why don't you say things this way? The growth that you can get from someone who cares and is willing to give you that guidance is incalculable. I mentor people now. I mentor military people who are separating. I mentor random people I meet who want to get into cybersecurity, especially Black people, because we need more of us in there. And quite honestly, if any of you want to get together with me and talk, I'll find the time, because it is critical and important that you talk to someone who's been there, done that, and can hopefully help you not make those mistakes that I made.
Yes, excellent. Speaks volumes. So to our candidates, make sure you take note of Bruce's name and look him up on LinkedIn, and drop your
Please.
LinkedIn profile in the chat if you would like. So I'm going to continue to ask questions from the chat. So if you have questions in the chat, now if I don't get to your question in the chat, don't worry, because we have another 25 minutes afterwards where you can jump into the breakout session in the right group for technical or non-technical and ask those questions in the breakout session with your video on and your audio, right? So no worries. I'm gonna try to ask some good questions that I'm seeing here in the chat. This next one is from McLeod, and I'm gonna split this up between Robert and Lillian. So Robert from a technical aspect and Lillian from a non-technical aspect. And the question is around, what does the interview process look like at Visa? And his question was specifically for a software engineer, but I think there's value in describing the interview process on both sides. So Robert, if you want to speak to the technical interview, and then Lillian, if you want to speak to what it was like for a non-tech role.
Right, so within technology, I'm in the technology organization. So within technology, one of the things our leadership wants to have is to have an equitable way of assessing all candidates. So it's kind of standard, but what you can expect to have is something like a HackerRank test, right? Where you get a couple of exercises that you will test your technical ability, and you get a number of questions that you can select which ones that you want to answer and execute those. And then you get automatic scoring from the hacker ranking system. And then after that, you will then get a series of interviews. Normally, it'll get to about at least 5 individuals interviewing you. That's the minimum requirement for software engineer, senior software engineer, staff senior, staff software engineer, and leads. So that's typically the process. You will get assessed on your technical abilities as well as your interpersonal abilities. And what that means is, are you able to do the technical work? Do you have a reasonable appreciation of the technical work? And you don't have to be perfect, but you need to be trainable, for example. So the more senior you are, the more proficient you need to be. But the more junior you are, we do in Visa have what is known as Visa University. So there's opportunities to train you further. And then you'll have the non-technical interview, which is the people skills. Are you able to communicate with others, or just assessment of those kind of skills and fit for the team that you're getting into. So if your team doesn't really talk to anyone else and they just like sitting in silos and they're all quiet, then, and if you're also like that, they might consider you. They might consider somebody else who's different, so that mixes up that team. So there's all of those facets. There is not a one-size-fits-all mentality. Normally in my team, we don't have that. And we look for complementary skills. So I don't necessarily look to just hire people the same as what we already have, because we have them. But if you're good, we're not going to discount you for that. So
excellent. And Lillian,
I hope that helps.
Thank you, Robert.
So the disclaimer is I'm in an internal audit. And so no one likes internal auditors, because we come in to review your processes or your financial reports and tell you what you're doing wrong. So first thing, you have to have a thick skin from an internal audit perspective. So when I interview candidates for internal audit, there are 2 aspects to it. One is technical. Are you structured? Do you like numbers? Are you able to focus and get into the details? So it requires people who are structured, analytical, who are critical thinkers to execute the job. The softer side of what we're looking for are those critical skills, but also the ability to have crucial conversations with your stakeholders. You're going to tell someone that there's a problem in their area, and they're going to push back, and you're going to have to be able to navigate conflict and try to practice active listening. So we'll be looking for those skills that are you able to communicate orally and in written form? Are you able to practice active listening, actually listening to your customer, versus I'm listening for a pause so I can tell you what I'm feeling. So it's those types of skills, but we want someone who's humble, someone who is open to learn and who's curious. With Visa, with us growing across the globe and going into new areas of technology, you have to be curious, and you're going to have to be able to do continuous development of your skills. So we want to see candidates who are continuous learners and lifelong learners. So those are some of the attributes that we'll be looking for.
Excellent, excellent. Okay, so let me grab another question. And I'm seeing a lot of good questions in the chat. I think I see 66 new messages that I haven't even been able to go through yet. So don't worry, to our candidates, you're going to have about a half an hour to engage in our breakout sessions after we finish this panel discussion. But let me grab this next question, which is from Stephen Warren to Natalie. What was your onboarding experience like going through the new grad development program?
So I guess I'll start from the interview process and then kind of like how it played out to the first day, like on site. So I had a first round interview on campus with 2 employees at the manager level. And then I flew out to the Bay where I had four rounds of 30-minute interviews in the same day. And so very intense process, but the turnaround process on the returns like were really fast. So I was really appreciative of that. From there, we kept in contact with the program leads because they helped us organize relocation. And because we were in a rotational program, you don't necessarily know what team you're going to. And so we're just keeping in contact to kind of express like your interest and what you'd be looking to do to make that final match, which happens like the summer before you come on board. I moved to the Bay 2 weeks before my start date, just to have some time to explore the city. And through that, like I got to meet some of the other NGDP. So we created a group me chat. I don't know if you all still use that, but in my day, 2 years ago, we were using a group me to connect. And so we met up and just chatted, got to know each other a little bit before we started. And we had 2 weeks of training. So like, we weren't working with our teams at all, just with our group. And this is very specific to the rotational program. And so like, I think Brittany or Vishnavi can jump in on like what it is to just join as an analyst. But we had 2 weeks of training. We went through like, visa one-on-one, like the impact we're having on the payments industry and the QBR, like the quarterly business reviews. And we just like did like an intense like review of like the business. And then, yeah, that was pretty much it. We talked to HR to like help us set up our benefits, like all the regular stuff, but it was a super smooth and efficient process. And the program leads definitely kept in contact with us the entire time to ensure that we were good to start.
So I'm sorry, go ahead. Lillian, did you want to add?
Are we about to go into a breakout session in a few seconds?
We got time if you want to.
Okay. It was not necessarily related to the interview process, but it got me thinking what Natalie was saying on a lot of the questions are about entering into corporate America. And I'm gonna blow your mind. I just need y'all to hold with me for a second. One of my mentors about 8 years ago, we were talking, she's a friend of mine. Her son is Rashawn Evans. He's on the Tennessee Titans. And so I'm not used to having millionaire friends. So when I get mentored by them, it blows my mind. And so one of the things that she was saying was, she asked me, Lillian, do you have an exit strategy? And at the point, I was not with Visa, I was with my other company. I was like, exit strategy to leave TSYS? She was like, no, what's your exit strategy to leave corporate America? I was like, Shanavis, you know good and well I haven't come up with an exit strategy to leave corporate America. And she said, don't talk to me until you come up with a strategy. Because until you know your what and you know your when, you don't know your how. And you're continuing to work 20 years. When are you going to stop? When are you exiting? And so if I had that advice when I entered into corporate America, and I realized that I want to retire at 55 and be financially independent to allow me to retire at 55. When you enter corporate America, there will be different compensation packages on 401k planning, on stock purchasing. If I had that advice when I entered into corporate America and I knew I wanted to retire at 55, it would have changed the decisions that I made financially going through. So I know you're intentional in coming into corporate America. And once you land, I challenge you to be equally as intentional on developing your exit strategy so you can know what career and financial decisions that you need to make. And if you need to marry someone who's making 6 figures, if that's your plan, that's your plan. But whatever you do, be intentional in planning your entire career journey, not just getting into corporate America.
Excellent insight. And that's why we have these great panelists here to offer that insight and share their experiences, not only at Visa, but, life experiences as well. So thank you for that, Lillian, Natalie, Bruce, Robert, thank you for all of your insights. So here's what I want to do next. So let me bring up my my slides real quick. And to our panelists, you can leave your video on as you jump into the breakout sessions at our next step. But let me share my my screen really quickly. So here's what's going to happen next. We're going to have breakout sessions. So I see a lot of questions, right? A lot of good questions in the chat. So what's going to happen next is you're going to have the opportunity to actually go live and ask some of those questions in our breakout session. So we're going to have 2 breakout sessions. One is going to be for technical roles, and we're going to have Bruce in that breakout session, Robert, and a couple of members from HBCU Connect to help keep the conversation going, which will be Doug and Reggie. So they will be in the technical breakout room, and then we'll have a non-technical breakout room. So for roles at Visa that are non-technical, and for that discussion will be Lillian, Natalie, Brittany from Visa as well, and Tamika from HBCU Connect to help keep that conversation going. So inside of Zoom, we're going to use the Zoom technology for these breakout rooms. If you have the latest version of Zoom, you shouldn't have any problem. If you have an older version, or if you're on a phone and you're not able to jump into one of the breakout sessions, don't worry. I've asked someone from Visa to hang out with me in the lobby so that we can have sort of a default breakout session and answer any questions that you might have live as well. So I'm going to do 2 things now. I'm going to allow you to unmute yourself. So that doesn't mean automatically unmute yourself, because what we're going to do is we're going to have a lot of people in each of these breakout sessions. So we're going to ask you to use the raise hand feature within Zoom. So if you go in Zoom and you look in the options bar, you'll see an option for reactions. And under reactions, you can raise your hand or you can lower your hand, right? So use the raise hand feature once you're in the breakout sessions. You can turn on your video, and then once someone calls on you, because you have your hand raised, then you can turn on your audio and ask your question. You can introduce yourself. Don't be so shy that you don't take advantage of this opportunity to network. Even though this is a virtual event, we're trying to create this opportunity for you to ask those questions. So go ahead and turn your videos on, and then go ahead and join the breakout session. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to open up the breakout rooms, and I'm going to allow you all to jump on the audio. So 1 second here.
And I'm gonna just add that if anybody had their video on previously and it was turned off by one of us, if you are unable to restart your video, just let somebody on a Visa team or HBCU Connect team know so that we can turn your video back on.
Thanks, Reg. All right, so I'm going to open up the breakout rooms, and you also see a notification within Zoom or an option for the breakout rooms. And then you can choose technical or non-technical. You can jump into the rooms, and I'll ask the Visa team to do the same thing according to our breakout sessions described. All right, so I'm going to open all rooms, and you all can go ahead and join, led by Bruce and Robert joining the technical breakout room, and Doug and Reggie, and then in the non-technical breakout room, Lillian, Natalie, and Brittany and Tamika. And then Vaishnavi, if you want to hang out with me here in this main, default open lobby, I guess you could call it. And I think I saw a couple of Visa folks that may want to hang out with us in the lobby for those that can't jump into the breakout rooms. But everybody's invited to jump into the breakout rooms now. You can turn on your video and look for your opportunity to leverage the chat or turn on your voice to ask questions. All right, so you guys take advantage of the breakout rooms now.
Hey, well, I'm seeing the opportunity to click on breakout rooms, but I'm not seeing how to add myself.
There should be a join button. Who is that? Constance?
This is Brittany. This is Brittany.
Brittany. Okay.
This is
okay. I got you. So let me. I can add you. I can actually add you to the breakout room. Assigned to non-technical.
okay. I see.
I think I did. Well,
All right. Good.
she must have joined there.
To anyone else that's having trouble jumping into a breakout, let me know, and I can assign you to a breakout.
Willie, Charles here. Are you able to add me to technical?
Sure. Let me find your name on the list. Okay, I see you right here.
Everyone else, just as an FYI, if you want to add yourself, you can see unassigned, click on your name, and next to it you see an option that says maybe assigned to. And you can choose the one that you want.
Exactly. Thank you.
Thank you.
No problem. Yep. If anyone else has any challenges joining a breakout room, or if you're maybe on an older version of Zoom and you want to hang out with us here in the main lobby, you can feel free to turn your video on, and we can, I'll leverage the Visa team that I have here with me to help me answer your questions.
Hi, Will. This is Gerald Willis. Can you add me to the technical breakout room? I'm not finding.
No problem. Let me see if I can do that here.
Okay.
Let's see. Looks like somebody beat me to it. Gerald, are you still here? Looks like he made it in. Okay, yeah, he's in there. Anybody else need help selecting a breakout room?
Yeah, I do.
Which one? Who's this?
This is Ike.
And which room would you like to go into?
The non-technical room.
Sure. There you go.
Thanks.
No problem.
Hey, Will, this is Stephen Warren. I just had a quick question. So if I'm looking to go into product UX design, would that more so be non-technical or technical?
Product.
So I can take that one, Will, if you want.
Sure.
Hey, Stephen. So technically, the way Visa is structured, the product and UX designer teams sit in our non-tech world.
I'm sorry, did you say non-technical?
Yeah, non-technical.
Okay, thank you.
Do you want me to add you to that?
Yes, please.
Got him.
Got him.
Hey, Will, this is Cassandra Jones. I'm trying to figure out, because I can go non-technical or technical, but it's kind of how is Visa set up? I'm a project/program manager/scrum master.
Hey, Cassandra. So we have project managers across pretty much all functions at Visa. So based on your experience or your interest, do you handle technical or non-technical projects?
I handle both. Unfortunately, I came out of well, I've been in consulting for years and then went into a small mom and pop. So I actually, because I have, I'm certified Scrum, they a lot of times give me technical projects, and they'll give me, since I'm a people person, I can kind of connect people, they'll put me on a non-technical project to get things going. So I'm a computer science major, so.
I would say technical.
Yeah.
Technical. Okay.
We have a lot of interesting technical projects where your skills and your background could be really beneficial.
Okay. I can go to it, Will. Thank you.
Maybe,
I will.
can you assign me to the technical room? Each time I go in there, I lose audio and video.
Let's see.
He's been adding it to people, Will, because when I was in there, he was cutting on their audio and video. Reginald was.
Okay. Yeah, I'm trying to add Robert to technical.
Hi, Will, can you add me to non-technical as well?
Sure.
Thank you.
So Robert, let me get Robert situated first. Let's see here. Let me see here. Robert, do you see the option for the breakout rooms in your version of Zoom?
I do see it. And if I go there, I don't have audio, or my mic is muted and my video is disabled, and I can't come off mute. So let me try again, but I've tried twice. And
yeah, you should have the ability to do that. And then if not, Reggie.
okay, let me try.
Sure. Anyone, so Joy, were you able to? Looks like Joy did get moved over. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 folks that are still here with us in the main lobby. So if anyone else needs us to reassign them to a breakout, just let me know.
Yep, and Will, I'm not sure if you have, well, I'm sure you have more permissions than Reggie and I do.
Usually co-host can do everything that a host can do, but is there?
Yeah, it was just the mute issue that we're having in the technical breakout room.
Is it an issue for everybody?
Several people.
Yeah, maybe a Zoom, the version of Zoom, being able to, so they may have to jump out and then jump back in if they can't, you know, unmute. But are you able to unmute in the breakout?
I'm good to go. Let me just go back in and see if the actual panel speakers are able to speak now.
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
Yep.
Well, I'm just gonna hop around and come back.
Okay. Marcus, you're good to go.
GCP or any of those things. For security reasons, most of Visa's infrastructure is private internal. But that means that we need people from network engineers, physical hard drive, you know, networking, software engineers to do the OS patching, security engineers that Bruce was talking about. So all of that is there. We have huge teams that just do SRE type of work. So I think, you know, on the next step page, you can definitely plug in. We even had technical PMs on our last internship that for the summer that just closed. So yeah, there's lots of opportunities there as well.
All right, appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, thanks, McDonald. I believe the next person is David Oyeke.
Yeah, it's Oyeke.
Oyeke. Go ahead.
Yeah, my name is David.
I'm currently a computer science sophomore at Alabama State University. And although I'm very much into software engineering, and I just have like 4 months of experience in actual work field. I interned with the Inroads team for my last summer internship. I just want to find out, what advice do you have for me?
Financial services industry, as well as impact investing, and now within the international development space. I'm very much interested in social impact, and I believe Natalie, she mentioned some of the work that she did with the Visa Foundation. I wanted to learn more about the role that Visa plays in social impact, and also what would be the panel's advice on engaging with Visa or the Visa Foundation for potential job opportunities?
Okay, so I can take, Lillian, were you gonna? No, okay. So I can speak to like my time on Visa Foundation, and I'm not 100% sure how they put out the roles, but maybe Brittany or one of the recruiters can step in and help you navigate that. And so the Visa Foundation, like I mentioned before, operates as its own 501c3. And so our mission and goal is to support women-led small and micro businesses through grant making and investments. And so this is done like through many ways. I don't know if any of you knew about Black Ambition. So this was like a really huge initiative that Pharrell was a part of. And so like we were one of the sponsors for that. We also like step in to like mentor small business and micro businesses, and just like ultimately like provide grants so that they are more sustainable. Ultimately, all our work is promoting a more equitable and inclusive economy. And then from time to time, we will step in and support like the natural disasters. So like if something happens like another country, like we will like not just another country, but if something happens that is a natural disaster, we may step in. But I think our main line of work is grant making to small and micro businesses. Beyond that, we do so many other things. It's just like so many things to mention. So just to give you like a few examples, like financial literacy, we do so much work within like the community, homelessness in the Bay, depending on like what city it is, like that kind of like helps us to determine like what initiatives we'll support. And R&D work. There's just like so many different things. What I would direct you to is the Visa Foundation website that talks a lot about like who we work with and how we work with them. So you can get an idea of like who our partners are. You may be familiar with some of them, and kind of like our mission statement, like how we show up for our partners.
In my role from an internal audit perspective, I audit our corporate functions, which includes the foundation, social impact, marketing, finance and accounting, our strategy group, our risk group. So when we first engaged with them early on, we have touch points with them. It sounded like to me at that point that they were hiring. At that point, it was about 2 months ago. You may want to check the Visa website to see if those postings are still out there.
And Brittany has also contributed to the conversation. She says that Visa has a global social impact team that you may be interested in learning about. She said her biggest piece of advice would be for you to join them for virtual events. They utilize wayup.com. That's WAYUP.com as well. So it's in the chat. So she wants you to connect with her on LinkedIn. So check it out in the chat below.
Will do. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. We have one last hand raised, and then I have some questions in the chat if we have time. This question is from Austin Howard.
Good afternoon. My name is Austin Howard, Senior Business Management Manager at Fort Valley State University. And I was wondering, with the product management role, right, which is something that I'm interested in doing, how...
I'm from Africa, so I know how difficult it is for some people to even be close to a bank, right? So they can go and get cash or deposit cash or do a transfer, send money to a kid at high school, right? And so the things that I've been working on, they align very tightly, because if you think of peer-to-peer payments is I can pay anyone around the world using a Visa instrument right now. And that's part of the work that I'm working on. I'm working on the fraud fraud and risk management part of it, but it aligns with those goals. Yeah. Bruce,
Okay, on my core values, I am in cybersecurity, and a lot of the knowledge I learn, a lot of the things that make me think on a day-to-day basis, I practice in cybersecurity. And I take a lot of that knowledge and express it and give it to a lot of other people who need to know such things as, beware of phishing. How to identify a phishing email. I tell that to people, my friends on
Visa network. You can also project manage an IT initiative. If we're trying to develop a new product, you can do project management on managing the people, the milestones, all of those activities to get the project delivered. So anything that has a start date and an end date, you can be the person that bring all of these people together to make sure that the requirements of what we're trying to deliver, you're managing the changes to the project, the risk, the resources, and the milestones. So that project management discipline can go into any area of any company. And it's a very sought after skill because most of the initiatives that companies go fail because you don't have strong project managers running these large initiatives, trying to deliver something bigger than yourself.
Okay, thank you. And then, well, another question. So, for the PMP certification, where would you is that extra schooling or was that like a separate?
It was a separate certification. Austin, can you connect with me on LinkedIn and I can get you connected to resources on getting the project management certification.
Okay, I'll put my
One quick call out. One quick call out. I hope everybody can hear me, but at the end of the session, we will be sending out contact information, LinkedIn sites for all the panelists who are interested in connecting with you all. So everyone will have the opportunity to get the information of our panelists.
Okay, Constance, I see your hand is raised, but I had a question in the chat that was a little bit ahead from Stephen Warren, and they were asking, are there any advantages to candidates coming from college than entrepreneurship for X amount of years versus a new graduate? And that can go to either one of you ladies.
Can you all hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, perfect.
Yes.
I can tie into this question. So basically, are there any advantages of coming from entrepreneurship versus straight to college? Was that the question?
I believe
Or
that's what
straight
they were
from
trying.
college?
Yes.
Okay, so yes. Now, I will say, full transparency, majority of the university related roles, you would have to come straight from college. That's just kind of how our current structure is set up. However, if you are somebody you've already graduated and you have the experience, especially within the areas that we're looking for, absolutely. We have several individuals who have come from non-traditional spaces and even various industries. And so that type of situation, I would recommend you doing as much research as possible because you would have to make sure that you're networking, especially if you know the company that you might want to, work for. It's going to take a lot of work up front, but as long as you do the work, Visa especially has room for, people with the entrepreneurial background.
You are muted, Will.
Thank you. So yeah, we have a few more details to go over. The breakout sessions are ending now, so folks probably have 20 seconds before they're all back in the room. So anybody that wants to turn on their video, that's cool, because we'll get a group snapshot, and it looks like everybody is jumping back in. So everybody make sure to mute yourself other than our visa team. But you can leave your video on, because we're going to do I want to do a group screenshot. But what I'm going to do, once everybody is back in the main session here, what I want to do is hand it over to Brittany Screws, who's a university relations analyst at Visa. So it looks like everybody's back here with us in the main session. So Brittany, if you'd like to take over, let me make sure.
Yes, hopefully everyone can see me and hear me. First of all, thank you so much, HBCU Connect. This has been such an amazing experience. Really, on behalf of Visa, we were so excited to meet you all in the audience. Today's conversation has been great, meeting the students. I think that there is a ton of talent in the audience. So please, please, please make sure that you are taking advantage of every opportunity, whether it be to network, to get a mentor, to learn about our programs. That's exactly what today's session is about. So for me, as the slide mentions, I've been with Visa for just a little under 2 years now. I do have a background in university relations and higher education, but I'll spend most of my time just talking about next steps, what Visa is planning for the year, and just how you can really get involved. Because I know that at this point, everybody wants to know, how can I make sure that my name gets on the interviewing list, the job application list, etc. So there's three key areas that you can look into as it relates to opportunities with Visa. The first area is going to be our internship program. The internship program is a summer internship experience. It can be anywhere between 8 to 12 weeks. At this time, we did have it virtually. Fingers crossed, when the world opens back up, we will have summer 2022 being on site. But essentially, our internship program can be both for non-tech and technical students. You do have to be at least, well, you will have to be a junior. Majority of the roles does require you to be a junior status. We do have some opportunities where if you are a rising junior and you've done such excellent work thus far, you could still be considered. So I encourage you, if you are still within that, sophomore to junior year, please apply to our internship programs. And really, with our internship programs, it is real world experience. I'm sure you may have gotten some of that from our panel today, but you will be working on assignments that Visa specifically is working on. You'll learn directly from Visa leaders. You'll be matched with mentors and buddies. And then also we make it fun too. So we'll be sharing more information about our internship program. The next opportunity would be for those who are already at the senior level. You're ready to graduate, whether you're an undergrad or a graduate. We have traditional new grad roles. So if, for example, if you're on the tech side and you're a senior, you know that you want to go into software engineering or cybersecurity, we have various positions for new grad. We also have corporate new grad opportunities such as marketing, internal audit, finance. We even have some social impact opportunities. And so those are the types of things that you could be looking forward to with us. And then that third area, which Natalie was our representative of today, we do have undergraduate and one graduate rotation programs. So as we mentioned earlier, a rotation program could significantly prepare propel your career, especially if you are currently a senior and you still don't know exactly what you want to do. Maybe you want to be in finance, maybe you want to be in consulting, maybe you want to go into law. We have that opportunity for you to rotate every 6 months within various visa functions. And then after that rotation, you are permanently placed. And so the rotation programs is specifically for someone at the senior level. So you would have to plan to be graduating between December of 21 up until about August of 22. So if that is you, I also strongly recommend you consider our rotation programs. At this time, we don't have specific rotation programs for the technical side. So if you are somebody who is a senior and you would like to explore new opportunities, definitely connect with us because we can try to help you make that connection as far as what areas that you can go into. So all in all, my goal for you today is to know that there's 3 key areas. And so I'll mention it again: the internship program. So if you are a rising junior or a current junior, you should look into our internship programs for both the tech and the non-tech. We also have traditional new grad positions, both on the tech and non-tech. And then we do have our rotation program. So what you can expect from us after today, we will be sending HBCU Connect the information that I just shared. I'm going to share the link to our site, where you need to go to apply. We're also going to be sharing you the link where we typically will showcase our events for the year. That is something that's going to be updated on an ongoing basis. I know that there's been a couple of questions about like, well, how do I get in front of a visa employee, or how can I get involved? If I had one piece of advice, the best way to get your name in front of a recruiter or a manager is to actually show up to events. So you showing up today was step 1. So now the people in this group, you all got exclusive access to hiring managers, to people that you can network within Visa. You got access to a recruiter like myself. So make sure that you're doing that throughout the entire year so that you have a better chance of getting that opportunity. And so we'll be sending you all of those details about where to go, where to sign up, how to register, where to send your resume. And then we will also be sharing for the panel, which I believe all of you are okay, but for the panel that are okay with me sending your contact information, we will be sharing LinkedIn accounts. So if you want to connect with a panelist, if you need a mentor, if you just have further questions, I will be sharing you their LinkedIn contact. So I hope I didn't talk too quickly, but that essentially is what I wanted to leave with you today. And so, definitely make sure that you're giving HBCU Connect your resume. We will be utilizing that link from moving forward, in addition to what we have going on with other events. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Brittany. And one thing I wanted to add is I know we have some folks that are on the call that maybe graduated some years ago, or maybe they're not a recent grad, maybe they're not a current grad or current student. And so this is actually the first event of 4 events that we have planned with Visa. So, I think the opportunity here for everyone is to be able to network with the Visa employees that have volunteered their time to share their experiences. So that goes for everyone. But then I want you to know that we're also going to have some upcoming events that will not only be more opportunities for students, but then we're going to have a couple of events that are specifically targeted to those that have more experience, right? So your experienced professionals that are out there. So definitely stay tuned for that. And let me thank the Visa team for, like I said, volunteering your time to share your experiences and also to share your opportunities. And to all of our candidates that have showed up today, like I always say, we cannot do these events without you, right? So you taking the time out to put this on your calendar, to make sure to join the event, and to learn more about Visa, to engage during those breakout sessions, to ask questions, to network with our panelists. This adds value to the experience for everyone, because Visa, of course, wants to make hires, from these events. And I'm sure some of you want to network and create opportunities for yourself, at Visa. So I thank you all for joining us. And I thank the Visa team again. And with that, this event is over. So thank you. You know what? If anybody's, let me do it.
We're going to do a group picture.
Let's do the group shot. Let's do the group shot. Everybody who wants to be in the group shot, turn your video on. We'll get a nice group photo, and we'll make this the thumbnail for the follow-up video. So everyone.
Are we doing this for the gram, or am I too old? Do we do stuff for the gram anymore?
We're doing this for
Lillian, we always do it for the gram.
So if you want to go ahead and turn on your video, I'm going to get a nice snapshot of all of your smiling faces.
You have to unshare your PowerPoint.
Yeah. Let me unshare my PowerPoint real quick. Thanks, Reg. Stop share. All right, so I'm going to get a nice screenshot. Let me stretch out my screen. Everybody's ready? I'm going to give you the count of 3, and you can say cheese. I know everybody likes cheese, right? All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3, smile. All right, y'all. There we go. All right, man. Thanks to Visa. Thanks to all of our attendees. Everybody have a good evening. Stay tuned to your email, because we will be following up with the survey, the event video, and next steps. All right, appreciate you guys. Thank you.
It was a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Take care, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.